not good in titles. So. We had Mise-en-scene.
Just recording me.
Yeah.
Yes. So we had Mise-en-scene, and the first thing we really want to talk about is the camera angles. So I really focused on the scene at the embassy, which was one of the first introductory scenes in the movie, and what we see is usually whenever the camera is angled upwards towards someone there, a hero, and it's angled downwards towards someone there, like a villain. So when James Bond, he's infiltrating this embassy, he doesn't really get the full hero camera angle. Sometimes he gets not sometimes, but whenever he's ruthlessly killing all these people who are just protecting the embassy, he gets the downward camera angle, which is really interesting because we see this development as James Bond as an anti-hero, because he's not getting the full in a stereotypical common hero film, the angle, the hero always gets that upward camera angle, but instead we start the movie off with the lighting, with the dark lighting, and then with this scene of him getting that downward shot while killing multiple just people who are protecting the embassy, and we also see the camera angles in.
Yeah, and so then I wanted to talk about the scene where he's poisoned and kind of running out to his car to get the antidote. And it was a very interesting scene because the camera was shaking the entire time he was running there. And this unsteadiness of the camera was really used to help portray how frantic he was feeling in the time that he was trying to get the antidote. And it's kind of the only time we actually see an unsteady camera throughout the film. It's different because normally in a professional film you have the ability to use stabilizers and all this different technology to kind of make sure the film looks good, and to opt to use a unsteady hand is kind of a different angle that they use to help portray the tone of the scene.
I also think adding on to that, it adds to the vulnerability that he's in. Throughout the movie, you see him maybe have a mishap, but he still overcomes it. But this was something that obviously was life or death for him. So I think the shaky camera angles adds to that.
So another aspect we looked at was lighting, and so in these two pictures we see that the light shines upon Bond to accentuate his muscles and kind of emphasize his masculinity and how much power he has. And we also see in this scene that there's a little light shining down in the back, which kind of refers to a supernatural being kind of looking down upon Bond, kind of protecting him. And when he steps out of the ocean again, the light's on his muscles, so we kind of get an idea of how powerful of a being he is.
Yeah, so generally also we seem to see this trend of light being used to portray the more metaphorical aspect of good and evil, which is something that stems from our innate biological nature, right? We have this fear of the dark, and so we expect evil to live and dwell in the dark. And so the light kind of also takes us to more of a psychological aspect. And we see in the scene right there where he drags Vesper out of the water and she's dead, the light is half light and half dark, and we kind of it's at that moment that we see him wrestle with vulnerability. And so you have the light in which everything good happens, and then you have the dark in which evil brews. And so as we see him struggle to accept this darkness, or to remain stoic as we normally see him do, we see this contrast.
Additionally, one of the very first scenes actually the first scene in the movie was black and white, and so that was interesting because of this. We see the continued theme of him being portrayed as an anti-hero. So while he was getting his first two at 007 status, it was black and white until after that. So James Bond, although he is the hero, he also isn't afraid to work in the dark in a metaphorical sense. He's also a character of the dark and of the light, and you see that duality between him acting without morality and him acting with some morals.
And quite literally we notice that he does like work in the dark. Like he'd make plans with M and like during the daytime, and then in the night he'd kind of carry them out and kind of kill people. And if he was carrying out plans during the day, we'd see him hide in the shadows and all that kind of stuff. Like that.
So then the last thing we wanted to talk about was music. So just hit the play button. This is that didn't happen. Okay, so I'll just kind of explain. This is basically the first chase scene where he's chasing the terrorist across all the cranes and goes into the embassy and all of that. Basically, the music in that scene, it's pretty standard action movie chase scene music. You've got lots of trumpets, brass instruments, and kind of the music, you can tell it doesn't really have like a resolution at the end. It just kind of lets the tension keep building and building, and that really contributes to like the tone and the mood of the scene. You can kind of feel Bond's desperation as he chases the terrorists.
Okay, I don't know if the video's going to work in the next scene. And also we don't want to watch it. Okay, anyways. But essentially this is the scene where Vesper's in the shower after she's seen Bond just kill this man, and how it's like the first time the music specifically in that scene is soft music, and that's the first time you hear softer music that kind of contrasts with all the other music that you hear in the rest of the movie, because I think this is the one time that they're actually recognizing the implications of killing someone and like the moral implications of doing so, and how like they're at the end of the day you are killing like another living being, and like that aspect I think is really enhanced through the music of this scene as well, because it's the first time I think Mr. Rosell was also talking about this. In most Bond films you don't see Bond ever like grapple with the moral implications, and this is the first time we saw that as well.
And the other thing with the music in these two scenes, it's a really good example of how filmmakers can use music to change our perceptions. The shower scene, for instance, when you add the heart, the soft orchestral music to it, it turns it into this scene of kind of emotional vulnerability, and it emphasizes the scene's emotional impact, but without the music, if you consider that, it would be just this weird scene of this crazy man sucking on this woman's fingers in the shower. So.
You guys gonna clap? No. Did you all need to watch any other James Bond movies or just